What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the X-Transbots Abaddon, or their version of a Masterpiece Scale Carrot Boy Galvatron. So this was said to be by the Token Canuck. He's actually sent me stuff in the past. I think I called him, his nickname was Big Boss, but now we're looking at this guy, and he sent me some things such as the logo you saw at the beginning, as well as some other fun stuff. I'm going to put it at the end of the review just so it doesn't take up time during the middle of the review. So if you're interested in the fun stuff, you can check it out at the end. But with that being said, this guy was first teased back in 2015. So it's been 11 years since we first saw the renders. And it's gone through a bunch of redesigns just because I guess they must have had issues. And I most recently saw it at TFCon. I think it was TFCon LA or TFCon Baltimore. I can't remember. And that one was, early prototype, kind of glued together. And I think it was even redesigned again after that point. So it's been through a few iterations. We finally have it here in our hands. And let's take a look at this guy. He's got some pretty nice paint. And I'm not 100% sure. I'll give you maybe like a 80% that this is paint infused plastic. So, X-Transbots has been using this method quite a bit on their figures, where to avoid paint scraping, they infuse it. And you can tell because a couple of spots, like right here, you can see there's a little bit of swirly. It's very hard to see it, but in certain spots you can see it. And that's because the paint is infused in, and some places it gets a little bit more distribution, a little bit less, and so you get that effect. You can only see that if you're looking under bright lights like mine. Otherwise, you're not really going to notice it. You also got the red paint here, accents kind of all throughout. We've got the pearlescent white. It's got a pink hue to it, so it is a whitish color, but it's got a little bit of a red to it too. So the pearlescent, the shine of it gives off a pink hue, at least in my eyes. And then gunmetal paint down here, gunmetal on the feet, gunmetal on the gun. Here's the back. It does clean up very nicely. That backpack is very slim and secure. I do want to mention, I have not transformed this guy. One of the reasons I haven't transformed it is I got a lot of warnings from people about this having breakage. My old friend G. Tony, I saw some pictures from him. There was a reviewer out there. I'm not going to mention his name, but he did a review and he broke it during the review on camera. And then a third person who posted in our Facebook group, Transformers ERC, had it broken in the box, and it was a back piece, which I haven't even opened the back yet to see if that's broken. So yeah, I'm going to do the robot mode review first. Then I'm going to go check out the transformation, and I'll come back. If something does happen, obviously I'll let you know about it, but I have to practice the transformation at least once. All right, let's go over the articulation. And I just want to show the head sculpt up close. It's actually a pretty nice looking head sculpt. You got the red on the head crest, metallic red for the eyes, black for the mouth, and then that gunmetal for the beard. And just overall, it's a very good looking face and head sculpt. The head itself is on a ball joint, so it goes back to there, down to there, side to side, and rotates. If you lift up on the neck joints, which is a separate hinge, you get way down, all the way down to there, way up, and it improves the side to side. So I'm glad they included this hinge that increases the articulation quite a bit. Rotation at the shoulder, I'll talk about that in a second, on a friction hinge. Out to the side on a friction hinge. This one is way loose. And if you wanted to tighten it, I'm not going to do it because it's not my figure, but you'd remove this screw cover here. I don't know if it's a, like you remove it and it damages it type of situation, self-destructive repair, but you'd remove this and tighten the screw in there. This one is actually much tighter. Just ironically, it's not the arm with the cannon. The cannon cannot be relocated. It's built into the arm. So I'll just show you here. You can see it's built into this panel. So you can't move, if you wanted to move it, you can't really move it to the other side. But yeah, this one is a little bit loose out to the side. You have a rotation here at the bicep, which I like the way they did it. They hid the joint underneath this shoulder pad, and that's pretty cool. You have a double jointed elbow on a ratchet. So both hinges are ratcheted. Gets you up to there, almost the full bend. There's a cutout here in the forearm to allow it to go, so that was a smart decision. Rotation at the wrist, in and out movement at the wrist. The hands are a new design, so I've been used to what they've been giving us with the Constructicons. I think these hands are better than what they've been giving us with the Constructicons. I prefer this, but the lower three fingers are combined together, but they do have two hinges, two pins. And then the pointer finger is separate, so you can indeed point. And then the thumb is on a hinge, a single pin. You don't get the most articulation out of the thumb, but I much prefer this over the weird hinge they give us with those Constructicons. They're just very easy to break. This one feels very robust. This hand overall feels much better. So I'd rather they do this in the future, moving forward. All right, coming down to the waist, and this is getting really loose now. Rotation at the waist. It's a little awkward just because of the position. The rotation point is forward. It's up here. So when you rotate it, he ends up looking a little awkward because of that. But it does rotate all the way around freely. You have a ab crunch. I'm just going to show you from back here. Built into the upper body, and it's ratcheted. So that's much better than some of the ones they've done. Most of them have been friction hinges. And this allows you to get precision control of where you have the ab crunch. And it doesn't fall down. So that's nice. I like that. Coming down to the legs, this is where a lot of the weirdness starts. So the legs are very strange and in some cases limited. There's a hip skirt here. You can't open the hip skirt unless you rotate this out of the way just a little bit. You have to get it past this point here. It's colliding with this. So, I don't know. That seems like an easy thing to fix before release. But if you lift that up, there's also a hip skirt on the back. The legs will kick up to there. Back to here. And then out to the side, it's hindered by this. So you're just going to take this. And this is another weird thing. This hip skirt, instead of being attached to the waist, is attached to the leg. I imagine that changes the transformation later, but legs will go out to the side, up to there if you get this out of the way. Nice ratchet joint. It holds very well. So that works good. Put that back in place. You have a double jointed knee on ratchets. That's pretty well done. It is, again, a little awkward, but all Galvatrons are a little awkward because of the knee pad. But nice tight ratcheted joints for the knee. That works pretty well. Put that back down. And I can see already the paint is rubbing. So definitely be careful with these hip skirts. They hit. So you want to rotate and get it out of the way. All right, and I forgot to mention the thigh rotation. It's built in right here. It's really tight. Like this, compared to the rest, is just, the tolerances are all over the place. You got this loose joint here, but then this one is super tight. Once you work it a little bit, it gets better. But like this one is really, really tight. So just be careful with that. You have basically no ankle tilt, and it's a very strange thing, but it's due to the design. So if you look back here, you'll see this panel is basically bumping into this piece of the shin. So you really only get that micro movement. Even if you pull it down, there's a drop-down hinge for the foot, which gets it down to there. You still don't get a lot because now it's limited by the inside, right? Whatever space you have there, it's like a 1/4 inch of room. That's how much you can move the foot. To me, that's a very strange decision. Like, why limit it. You didn't need to. All right, now let's take a look at the accessories. And X-Transbots always gives us some pretty cool accessories. We get the matrix on a metal chain. The matrix itself is plastic. It's the first matrix I've noticed that opens, so you can pull it open like this. Don't pull it too far because it'll come apart. It's kind of a fragile thing, so just be careful with it. But nice silver chrome, gold chrome, translucent blue. And I like the opening effect. That's kind of neat. The chain, I wish it was attached, like actually solid in one spot, because it kind of, and this is the thing I was talking about, it comes apart way too easily. It's just tabbed together. You could probably just glue these in so it doesn't keep doing this. But let's get this tab back in. This tabs into here. And then this tabs into the top of that. There we go. But the chain, you want to move it so that it's sitting closer to the middle. And that just makes it easier to hang, on his neck or in his hand or whatever. You can do this. So you can do that look. That's kind of cool. You can also put it in his hand if you want. You can, open it up and have him holding it. Whatever you want. Or, hang it by the chain. We also get his blast effect. And like I mentioned, this outward movement is weak, but this direction seems pretty strong enough to hold it. I do wish they put a ratchet in the arm, but here's the blast effect done in translucent purple plastic. I love that this isn't really heavy. The Fans Toys one is way too heavy, way too bulky. This one is really nice and light, so he can pose with it a little bit easier. It does weigh him down a little bit, but you can, lift up the arm. Actually, I can see it's slowly going down. So I don't know if this is going to hold over time, but it does look cool. I'd imagine in Canon mode, it's going to be a little bit better, a little bit easier to hold it up. The arm, it's a little bit heavy for his arm. But I will say it looks good. We also get a bunch of alternate faces. And they're pretty good looking. We've got kind of a grimacing, scared, smirking or smiling, angry, laughing, and quizzical, puzzled face. And to swap it out, you'll come to lift up the head. I recommend a spudger just to get underneath the chin. And pop open this whole front piece of the face has to come off, and the helmet. And I find it a little irritating, and I'll show you why. That's why. Because the face has a peg on the back that goes into here, but it also has a tab on the top. So you can't just peg it into here and then put the helmet back on, because it won't go on because of that tab. So you have to really align it here and then stick it on, and it's a little challenging. I'll show you one and I'll do the rest off camera, but get it in there, and then you kind of want to hold it together. And then while you're holding it, plug it in to those tabs. And it's just, user experience, right? They're not really thinking about the user experience. But there is the angry face. There's the concerned or scared face. There's the smirking, smiling face. There's his laughing face. There's a really angry face, kind of gritting teeth. And there's a kind of quizzical or wondering face. I kind of like that. But nice options here. For size comparison, there it is next to the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime. A little bit taller than, basically the same to the shoulders, but then the head, obviously the head crest is a lot bigger. The head and the neck sits a little bit higher too. So he does end up a little bit taller, but fits in well with the Masterpiece scale. All right, and here's another comparison which I think people want to see with the Fans Toys Sovereign 1.0 and Sovereign 2.0, their versions of Galvatron. And right away, the thing that I noticed is the color differences. The X-Transbots went with more of a lavender purple, and then the white is like this pinkish hue to the white. Fans Toys went with a more bluish metallic purple and a silver, even on the original, you know, a silver color, more silverish gray than white. Another thing that I have only noticed after someone mentioned it, now I can't unsee it, is the arms. The arms are kind of short on the X-Transbots. They come up to about the end of the hip skirt here, whereas on the Fans Toys, both the original and the new one, they come up to about his middle of his thigh. And I was looking at my own proportions. My hands come down to about the middle of my thighs. So I think this is the right proportions. This does seem a little bit short. And because it's kind of stocky here, it ends up looking a little bit gorilla-like. But on its own, it actually is fine. It's just when you start looking at it next to other Galvatrons, the proportions look a little off. But we are going to do a full comparison on these two guys. So I don't want to spend too much time here. So stay tuned for that comparison. All right, now let's get Abaddon transformed into his cannon mode. Transformation is definitely a very challenging, especially the upper body. There's a lot of things to watch out for. And the video, the transformation video provided by X-Transbots is very poorly made. It's really hard to follow. It moves too quick and they skip steps and they kind of gloss over things. So if you follow that, you're possibly going to break it. So I'm going to try to do my best to do a clean and also well seen transformation. Hopefully we don't break it and we don't have any issues. We're going to start on the legs. The transformation is non-symmetrical. So basically each leg is different. Each arm is different. So we're going to cover the whole thing. We're not going to skip anything today because everything is a little bit different. So coming down to the legs, we're going to, actually let's rotate these arms out of the way. Normally I just lift them up, but this one falls down on me. Then we're going to rotate at the waist, or at the thighs. So you get this towards the inside. Lift up the thighs a little bit so you get the leg facing outwards like this. This knee pad is going to end up in here. So you want to make sure this is rotated exactly in the middle. Right? So you have this line right in the middle. You can kind of line it up with this. Right? And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to rotate the thigh so it's right down the middle. And just check here to make sure you have it lined up. All right, now we're going to take care of these legs. So come to the back and we'll lift up this ab crunch, rotate these hip skirts in. I find that to be a very strange transformation step, but that's how they do it. Then we're going to open up this panel, bring the legs down, fold them back, open up this panel. And this is tabbed in. I want to show you how it's tabbed in. So this panel is clipped in on the inside. And when you go back to robot mode, you have to get this tabbed in. If you don't get it like collapsed down and tabbed in like this, you'll have a hard time rotating it back in. But fold all of this out, straighten it up. Get this panel basically folded up like that. Then we're going to fold this back down. Make sure this is out of the way. And then close up the leg again. Right, so it ends up like this. Bend the knee so you have this downwards a little bit. This one, completely different. So let's do this one now. We're going to take and open up this. Fold your foot back all the way as far as it'll go. Open this up and I'm going to rotate you to this side so you can see this is going to rotate down on the knee pad and then you're going to rotate this down. That gives you the most clearance. Rotate this down, come to here. I think I just broke a nail. Rotate this down and this makes up the bottom stabilizer. Rotate this to the other side and you'll see there's a little peg right here and that's going to fit into this tab right here. So bring this down And this will rotate down and tab in there. It's not the most secure thing. It might come out on you, but that's how it's supposed to go. All right, now we're going to get the legs combined together. So bring these down. You'll see there's a little indentation right here inside the thigh, and that's to accommodate the knee pad. So close up the knee pads so they fit in there. And I'm just trying to get these out of the way. And this knee pad will go up and inside this other knee. So fold this down. Make sure this is out of the way. And bring the legs together. So they still look like this. And we're going to open up this little clip. And it gets stuck. You can see, like, you're trying to open it. It's not going. So you're going to push in here. And that'll allow you to flip this open. Then we're going to push this knee up into there. And now we're ready to attach it. So on this side, bring this down and clip it in place right there. That holds this side. And this side, this panel has 2 tabs going into here, and then this tab's going on the outside. So bring this down, make sure those tabs made their way in. And make sure this makes its way on the outside. This is a die cast tab going into plastic. Not the best idea, but it does clip in there. Just over time, it's going to damage it. All right. Then we're going to take these toes, fold those up. These are going to collapse into here. Make sure it collapses all the way up so that you have the toe, the foot, above this panel right here. Or you can see there's a gap, just enough gap to get this in there as well. So fold this down, the toe fold it up, and those toes will meet underneath there. So it looks like this. All right, now we'll take this. These will fold up. There's a little nubbin holding this on the bottom of the foot. Same for this one, little nubbin there. Bring these around, tab them in. And that makes the back of the cannon mode, which actually, comes together pretty nicely. Open this up. This will tab in right here. Same for here. Actually, this is a puzzle piece. You want this one down first, and then get this one over the top. And make sure that tabs together. Like so. On this side, you're going to fold this up. That's going to tab in on the side. This one also will tab in on the side. And then flip it over. And here you're going to just close this up. It doesn't tab in. It just kind of flips over and covers this area. This will come back down and sit right here. This will get tabbed in on these 2 pegs. It's going to be harder to show you later. That's why I'm showing you now. And then the last step on these legs, we're going to take these, fold these to the back. You'll see a little flat part on the back of the thigh. So this will sit on that flat part of the thigh. I'll do that around and get that down. All right, so those are the legs. You can now set it down on this flat part of the cannon down here. All right, now we're going to take care of this backpack section. And this whole upper body is the part that is, pretty frustrating and maybe confusing, especially with the video. Untab this, tabbed in right there. Also down here. Same on this side, untab that from those 2 tabs. Then you're going to pull out on these 2 shoulder pads while pulling down on this. And the reason is this is pegged in. I also have to lift up the head. The reason for that is this is pegged in here and here into the sides of the back, as well as the head, the neck panel is pegged into the top. So that'll allow you to release this down. And we got to do some work here. So for this piece, we're going to rotate these down, get them out of the way. These will lift up. They're on a slider. You have to slide it in. And I hope you saw that. And then slide it and attach it to here. This will clip in to the back of it. Same with this one. Lift this up, slide it down, clip it in, and then this will come down and tab into the back of it. Like so. There's a little hidden thing which I forget, so I'm just going to do it now. Flip this panel open, flip over this part, and then flip that back down. You get the little red piece there. I actually forgot that the first time I transformed it. And then back here, unplug this from here, flip this around. We're going to open these up on the side. You can see I have a lot of paint scraping on here. The purple paint is missing because this is a die cast piece and I just have rubbing going on. Not the greatest, to be honest. Bring this up all the way. Same on this one, bring this up all the way. On the inside, there's two panels that we have to fold out. So flip that out. And I just use a spudger to help me. And then these two pieces we just flipped out will clip into here and make a semicircle, which is the back of his cannon. So here's how that looks. This will come down and these two little pegs will go into here. There's two little slots right here. It's kind of tough, honestly, to get this pegged in there. Make sure the ab crunch is closed all the way. And get that lined up. And this is probably going to come out again. It's happened to me. This comes out very easily, but it should be tabbed in back here. So here's how we're looking. Now we can take care of this backpack, this section here. This is also, I would say, somewhat confusing. So the order of operations matters. Come to the top. You're going to unpeg this pylon. It's tabbed in on both sides. So unpeg it and just get it off to the side. Then we're going to take this arm, which is tabbed in right here. Unpeg that from there. Rotate this back and out of the way. Unfortunately, you can't remove the cannon. It's part of the arm. So you just have to have that, kind of sitting loose. Now that you removed all that, you can pull this out. This is slid in right here. I'm showing you just so it's easier for you to go back to robot mode. This is slid as this triangle piece onto this side piece. Slide that out all the way. And while we're here, we're going to flip down this little piece and fill in that little gap. So crazy, all the little things they've got going. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So same sequence, pull this out from the top, unpeg the arm, rotate that back, get it out of your way, pull this out from internals, and rotate down this little filler piece. Now that we've done that, we can come to the front. Yeah, and this arm, it just keeps getting in your way because it's very heavy. But we're going to open up this chest plate. So we're going to fold this down. Make sure everything's clearing. All these armatures and stuff can get stuck on each other. So get this folded down. And when you do that, the arms will fold down too. So just set those to the side for now. And we're going to take care of this. We're going to rotate this panel up. Get it tabbed in right here. Then we're going to take this. This will tab in right here. Fold out the tread. And that's one side done. Same on this side. Fold this out. Rotate this panel out. Tab it in. Fold this down. Tab that into there. And then fold out your tread. And all right, next we're going to open up this chest plate here. It can be a little tricky to get it open. Maybe just use a spudger or something to wedge in between here. And go ahead and get this open. And you can see this chest plate is definitely not a painted surface. It's paint infused. But bring this down, bring the face down. all of this will come down and sit right in here. I can actually open this up to get this out of the way. Bring this down and it'll fit right in between the parts that we put there before. So it sits like this. All right, now we'll take care of the arms. The arms are actually the more complex part of the entire thing. If you thought that we got that part done, have news for you. Rotate this to the front, then rotate it around so you get this peg on the top. Bring this in and tab it in. And we're doing the easy arm first, quote unquote easy. Bring this down on this rotation hinge. There's a slot here and a tab right there. Get that tabbed in right there. We're going to open this up. We're going to rotate the arm so you get the elbow facing outwards like this. And then we're going to bring this down and underneath. You want to get this tab and this clip on at the same time. It's very challenging. The instruction video definitely cheated and didn't really show it to you. So, you know, I'm going to try to show you without a cut. But you want to get this underneath and this in at the same time. And there we go. I got it. Not easy. Very frustrating, actually. All right. Now that we have that, and this came undone, I'll just fix that. We can take care of the hand. So on the bottom here, we're going to come to here. You're going to lift up on this little panel and rotate this around. Rotate the hand so the thumb fits right in this little groove. And that's actually what covers up the hand. Then bring the arm down. It will sit right behind this neck panel, this chrome neck panel. So bring that in. It does tuck in right here. So that's how we're looking. Hopefully that was all on camera. And now we're going to take this panel right here, rotate that back. It'll tab in right there. And I've had a little trouble getting everything perfectly aligned. Sometimes things are a little bit off. All right, here we go. So that's one side done. And I think this panel came out, but I'll do that when we get to the other side. So let's take care of this one. This one is definitely more confusing. So we're going to come to here, take care of this first. So rotate this around, flip it around, and tab it in. That's the easy part. I'll do this. I'm going to rotate the arm just so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to come to here, unpeg this from here. This is just tabbed in. It's covering up these two pieces. And we will take this, rotate this around. Open this up. And we need to get this rotated so that it can open up. And it's a tricky sequence to actually show you, but I recommend you first rotate this panel out like we did on the other one. Rotate the hand up so you get the thumb in there. And now we got some room to work. So you're going to take this, rotate this up. You've unplugged this, and you're going to flip this around. And like I said, it's a very confusing sequence the first time you do it. All right, so we're going to rotate the arm back this way. This will come in. Tab the arm in right here on that tab. All this junk will just go down here, so just get the arm rotated back down and make sure it's rotated so that you have the elbow facing outwards right here, and get all this junk under here. All right, so this will attach the exact same way as the other one. Like I said, this is the most challenging thing in the whole transformation, is getting these two tabs to go in at the same time. And the instructions don't even show you. Oh, that one actually went pretty smooth. Got lucky. All right. This will come back and tab in down here. Come to the bottom. And we want to take this panel, open these up, rotate this around. And this hand should also end up plugging into this. I'm going to do that at the end. But get this. And make sure your thumb is in that little groove. Get this situated in here. It just fits perfectly flat on here. So that's how you know. There's also a tab on the bottom of this. So get that in. Get this in. You can see that kind of fit in there pretty nicely. And now that we got both arms in, we can take care of this. So I'm going to just plug these into the back of the arms. Right? That's what kind of holds this rear stabilizer. And the last step here is this thing. So bring this down. This goes into here, but what really holds it is the friction between the blue part. So we got to open this up, extend this out all the way, and then collapse this down on a slider, and the friction between the blue and the white is what holds it. Just make sure you've got it perfectly in there. Don't push it until you know it's fitting in there. Might break some of those tabs, but you basically push it in there, and that should hold. And one last step here, which I would say is probably optional, honestly. It is a transformation step, but they have you open up this arm, and it goes back to there. And when I first did it, I was like, oh, that looks weird, but it actually goes a little bit more. It clicks right there. That is the official transformation. It's meant to be like flat right here. All right, same on this side. Open up the arm and push it past one click, and it stops right there. All right, there's Abaddon in Canon mode. And I will say, at least from this angle, it does look pretty good. Transformation, not fun, not intuitive. There's a lot of steps in there that I think are very strange in terms of their design and engineering. But now I know why all of the pictures we saw in the promos and in the Chinese Weibo pictures were from this angle, because it does look good from this front quarter. As soon as you turn it to the side, this is where you see all the kibble and the holes and the arms on the side. From the front, the arms are covered. That panel does cover the hands, so that does look okay. But from here, I just think it's so much kibble, right? All of these armatures, and this piece, I don't know. I don't know if it's better like this, because then it looks like an arm, or is it better like this? Both are not great. Yeah, so it just looks kind of messy from the side. From here, the back, this is pretty clean. I think this looks nice. It's painted well. It does have wheels. You have a die-cast wheel here, and then two on each of the turrets. It does roll on those wheels. And of course, we can bring in the blast effect here. That will plug in there. It is pretty big, but I do think it looks good. And if you want, just for fun, we can take the matrix and put that on the Canon, so you can have that look. For size comparison, there it is next to the MP10 Optimus Prime. Pretty big Canon mode. It is taller, wider, and longer than Optimus. So I think it fits in nicely in the Masterpiece scale. So final recommendations on the X-Transbots Abaddon. And I have to tell you, I've filmed this a few times because I'm trying to keep this concise but complete. But I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. I'm not going to recommend it. And I want to first tell you why I think there are some good things about it, and then we'll talk about what's wrong with it. I think the figure looks pretty good. The fully painted surfaces, whether it's the paint infused like the purple or the painted surfaces like the white and the gunmetal, and I'll show you how I know that's painted surface. It looks good, right? It's got a good paint job, and it shines on a shelf. The blast effect and the matrix are also nice accessories. I think nice touches. And X-Transbots is not no stranger to good accessories. Even the face sculpts and the alternate faces are good options. But that's about where I think this ends. There's a lot of issues. And I'm going to talk about the number one issue. I'll kind of go in order in terms of the problems. Ankle tilt. You've got to have ankle tilt. This is a $200 figure. Let me take this out of here. And on a $200 figure, that's a masterpiece level. I expect ankle tilts. There's just not enough. It's a quarter inch. And even in this simple pose that I have it in here, I can't get that foot flat on the floor. And so what ends up happening is it's very unstable. I would never leave it on the shelf like this because it would fall and, damage. So that's the main one big issue for me. Other issues, the transformation is not fun. The instructions they provide are very poor. And then the hardware they chose, there's some really weird choices with some of the hardware and some of the overall engineering in the transformation that just make for not fun and frustrating experience. The alt mode also not that great, to be honest. I don't love the arms hugging thing. I can get over that, but from the side, it's just got a lot of breakup and kibble. And that's just not what I want in a $200 masterpiece. The other thing is I got some paint scraping in certain spots, and this is how I know these are painted surfaces here, and then up here, I don't even know how that happened, but on this pylon, there's paint scraping. And, because of tolerances and because of issues getting this transformed due to the complexity, you get issues like that. And, it just adds on to the issues with this figure. So if you're planning to display this in pretty much an A stance or a simple pose where you're not going to get the legs out wide and you're not planning to transform it, it'll probably work for your shelf. But if you've already got Fans Toys and either one, Sovereign 1.0 or 2.0, or you've got the DX9, I think you'll be happy with those, right? You don't need to get this guy. I just think it's not really an upgrade. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the Token Canuck for sending us a review. We'll see you next time.
So please be gentle. Just please be gentle. Don't snap in my hand. Okay, I think I got it. Wait. Is that a stress mark? No. No. Well, time to buy the Fans Toys reissue.